Afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Gardner with Ohio State University, and I'm here today to talk about how to manage turf grass when you get a lot of rain, which is something that's happened in Ohio here recently. And so conditions are very good for the growth of turf grass right now, maybe a little bit too good. There's some things that we need to pay attention to. One is how to mow. It's kind of hard to get out and mow because it's been raining every day, but generally speaking, you should try to mow the turf in the afternoon. That's when the leaf blades are probably going to be the driest, depending on the day. But the point is that you want to, if possible, be mowing dried clippings that will make the mower work more efficiently. Also make sure that your blades are sharp. Depending on your situation, you may need to avoid the use of mulching mowers if your grass is too high. And use a side discharge unit, or even consider bagging your clippings. If after you mow the grass you have an uneven or a ragged appearance, you may have to consider double cutting, and so go back over the turf, preferably in a perpendicular direction, to make the turf surface more even. But the main thing to consider is that, well, one, the question has always been, what's the lesser of two evils, cutting when the grass is too tall or cutting when the soil is wet. If you cut when it's too tall, then you're violating the 1/3 rule. Well, grass for the most part can recover from an incident where you remove more than 1/3 of the leaf blades, so long as you don't do it that often. And so if you let the grass grow up a little bit taller, you can compensate by raising the height of your mower and then gradually lowering it back over time. But if you can get out and mow in such a way that when you look behind, you're not bringing up mud tracks with the mowing unit, yeah, it's better to let the grass go a little bit taller, and you want to try to avoid permanent damage to the soil. So in other words, the lesser of two evils would be mowing the grass when it's too tall, as opposed to following the 1/3 rule, but mowing when the soil is so wet that you're actually causing mud tracks with your equipment. Now, if you're using riding mowers, you can go to a push behind because those are lighter, and that'll allow you to get out and mow a little bit sooner. But if you're causing mud tracks, that's a more permanent damage that you're causing to the soil, which is harder to ameliorate than, for example, reseeding if you're accidentally scalping the turf. So ditch the 1/3 rule for now, raise the height of cut to try to compensate for that, but the main thing is to avoid damage to the soil, and you can tell that with the mud tracks. Now, one other thing to consider is that since it's raining so much and the grass is growing so well, we're using more nitrogen than we normally would at this time of year. So if you have areas of turf that seem thin or yellow, you may want to consider a supplemental shot of fertilizer, like a 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000, but don't go too much above a 1/2 pound of N.